Hi everyone, I am very pleased being here today at Fair Farms in the middle of Cambodia, in the south of Cambodia, near Kep. It's a paper from Kampot. I am with Norbert BINOT, who is the owner and of this great startup company he built a few years ago. So Norbert decided to build a farm here from scratch. And the very good thing is it's a fair, equitable business, fair trade business, certified. We are in the middle of the paper trees, the paper farm, where we've been very fortunate today to go through all the process with Norbert and understand how he is growing in a very sustainable way. The paper that is highly awarded and recognized by most of the chiefs from 3 stars Michelin restaurant. We will go through the process of this paper. We will talk about AgriTech. We'll talk about the future of agriculture with Norbert, who has a strong expertise in that space, coming both from the agriculture and the technology space. So thank you for having us. Thank you for allowing Borderless Impact, the family to be here during a few hours at your farm. We'll sleep here tonight, and we are very much looking forward to have a great conversation together.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
A good introduction about your background. I've learned so much since this morning. I'd love to know how everything started, who you are, and why we are here today in this farm, so we can get a bit of an understanding of your background.
Thanks, Pierre. So my name is Norbert BINOT. I'm French. I was born in the north of France. I have a master's degree in embedded systems. So it's the cross between IT and electronics with a specialty in home automation. But I've never been working in this field. Just got this kind of the degree, and then I moved to Singapore after my studies in 2019. After studying mostly in France, but also abroad in India, in China, and in Vietnam. So I moved to Singapore, where we met a couple of years ago.
Through the French Tech network.
Through the French Tech.
Always very helpful to get connected to people.
Cocorico. And so I started my career in Singapore, not knowing where I was going, honestly. And I think that's my journey. I never knew where I was going. That's why I think we are here today. Huh? And so I started working in the fintech industry, software industry, a company called GL Trade at that time. And I was an account manager, a technical account manager, supporting the banks in Singapore and in Asia with their trading software to trade on the global market. I did this for a couple of years. Then I changed company and I moved from this company to the New York Stock Exchange. And at the New York Stock Exchange, after I joined, a couple of months after I joined, we've been acquired by ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange. And at that time, ICE had to let go a lot of people. And so I stayed there.
So you stayed in Singapore?
I stayed in Singapore. And since I was at that time in a commercial activity for the New York Stock Exchange as a sales director, they had to keep me so I could manage the relationship with their customers. I didn't have much to do, and so I was looking into doing something. I crashed a company before that called Clever Green.
Always need to crash a company to get learning.
Yeah, exactly. And
failing is about learning.
Exactly. So I think it was my first lesson. And so I crashed Clever Green. That was a company created to help throttle the CPU of the computer to reduce their energy consumption. Okay.
So you started your career in this energy management kind of system.
Yeah, that's
the background in.
That's the company I crashed.
But this is how you learned.
That's how I learned. And so back in 2013, I met someone. So my wife was born in France, but her father is from Cambodia and her mother is from Hong Kong. She didn't know much about Cambodia before the project. Anyway, I met with this guy, her uncle, and we talk about many things, and we talk about peppercorn in Cambodia. I had absolutely no idea what peppercorn was, so I started learning, reading books. I came to Cambodia, meet with the farmers. My grandparents were farmers, God bless their soul, and so kind of naturally I decided that I would go back to farming. And so I did this business plan after maybe a year working on this, trying to find a good land. So we are in Cambodia, in Kampot now. I started this business. This business is a pepper farm. We are in Kampot province, which is the southwest part of Cambodia. And we grow one of the best pepper in the world. I would say the best, but
multiple awarded, recognized by most of the 3-star Michelin chief. highly regarded. What I did like since I visited this morning and what I would love to learn a bit more for the audience here is how much you literally since the start emphasized on making a bio product, an organic product, an equitable product as well, and how you achieve doing this. So could you explain a bit more, like what are all those kind of ingredients to make a good bio-equitable product today? Trying to understand a bit more about how you came up with this bio-sustainable product.
I think at the beginning of the project, we had this intention to do it well for the environment and also for the people. Where in Cambodia, the social aspect of Cambodia, the health insurance, fair salaries, all of that does not really exist. So for us, it was a no-brainer that when we started this company, to make a company that would be fair. And the name of the company is actually Fair Farms. Okay, farms with an S, because there was also a vision to work with
many other firms.
Exactly. And so we started Fair Farms and we started growing pepper the old-fashioned way. So we are working with a community that has been growing pepper for generations, and we have been using the old techniques to grow this pepper. And so we have been making our own fertilizer with whatever is available at the farm, using a bit of cow dung as well, that we also had to source at some point from other farmers because we don't have enough cows to put enough food for all the trees. We have 13,000 poles, which is 13,000 trees, which is quite a lot.
So we literally are in the pepper farm, where you can see here behind the trees, this is where pepper is growing, one of the best pepper in the world. So very fortunate that we could get this interview in the middle of the farm that Norbert entirely built from scratch.
And so that the organic part is how to grow something here without impacting.
Without any chemical product,
Without
anything.
chemical product.
Everything is natural.
Everything is natural. And we do not use also any pesticides, but even any natural pesticides. We do not manage the pest. Okay. We let the insects thrive and they manage themselves. So, if you have ants, they will eat another insect and those they control themselves. So that's how we decided to manage it. Then in terms of people, we have been taking care of the staff, of everyone who's been working here. And that was the vision, kind of. And eventually, through meeting with people and helping a school that is called the Bayon School in the north of Cambodia, we've been giving them peppercorn to support their need for fundings. So we gave them this peppercorn. The mother of the kids were sewing small bags in krama. Krama is the local fabric. Yeah. Put the pepper in it, and then we've been selling those small bags across. Which supported education. So all they found were going back to the school, and for us it was like a gift. So we've been helping them. On the other side, we've been trying to work on a good quality product. Fortunately, one day I met with one guy who used to run the Alain Ducasse school near Paris, and he discovered our product, loved it, introduced me to Romain Médère at that time at Plaza Athénée with a palace in Paris, 3-star Michelin. And from that point, we had the visibility that we needed with the chefs to show that we had a very prime quality product. So on one hand, you have a quality product sponsored kind of by 3-star Michelin. On the other side, you have an environment that we respect, and the social part. Eventually, the school that we have been helping, the director of the school at that time, his daughter worked for an organic distributor in France. And to kind of thank me for helping his school, he introduced me to his daughter, and that was the beginning of a partnership with a company called Equitable in France, with one guy called Pierre-Alexandre Hubert, which I will never thank enough for what he did for us, and who came here and who's been seeing the farm and told us, if you get your organic and fair trade certificate, I work with you. And since everything was already in place to get the certificate,
in only a few months,
in 6 months, we were organic and fair trade certified.
Amazing.
And we became the leader here for the Kampot pepper, organic and fair trade. Pierre-Alexandre came back and said, okay, we are going to buy all your production. And so from that date where we were no one, just starting to grow, we became the leader on organic and fair trade Kampot pepper in France. So now all the co-ops in France are distributing us through this brand called Equitable.
So this startup is something you've built a few years ago. I could see here how much it has grown. I could also see, discussing with you how big are the challenges, especially when you see the climate change and the impact it has on the fields, how the dry season are even more dry every single year and how it is affecting the fields, the trees, the quality of the paper and the trees and forces you basically to reinvent the way you should manage your farm. Yeah. Can you tell me a bit more about, the impact of this climate warming? What do you see and how do you basically address those challenges today with new irrigation systems and how basically to invent the future of your farm here?
The impact in terms of numbers for the production, for the yield, for us, this year was 90% decrease. Okay, 90% decrease in terms of production
because of the dryness.
Because some of the trees died. It's bringing disease, but it's also bringing the drought, the huge heat waves that we had last year, about 46, 47 degrees for a couple of days. Your trees are basically dying unless you adapt. Okay. In terms of the impact on the people, good year, we have about 150 people who are working with us during the harvest. That will last 6 months. A bad year last year is about 20 people working with us.
So huge impact on the trees.
130 people lost their job.
And huge impact on human.
Exactly. With all the repelling effect that you will have with that when you have 130, mostly women losing their job for 6 months. We have 69% of the workforce here are women. It's as much money that is not going home. It's also then kids not going to school. It's also having impact. So on education, on food. But the heat, as we've been working on this with the UN, there are impact as well on the well-being of the woman with violence at home. All of this has a huge impact.
Everything's connected.
Everything is connected. And so we are trying to adapt. We are changing the agricultural practices. You see here, normally when we grow Kampot pepper, we are not supposed to have a cover crop. That's a cover crop that is used as a natural fertilizer as well. It's called Arachis repens. So we reduce the need of water. We improve fertility of the soil. We have less evaporation. Okay. So the retention of the water is better. And also when it's raining after the huge dry season that we have, there is no erosion because when your soil is dry, you put water, the topsoil goes away. If you have a cover crop, your topsoil is staying, right? Because the water goes in the soil because of the root system. Exactly. So that's one thing. Then we are changing the irrigation. Have you seen today? We are changing the entire irrigation system at the farm.
So something you need to invest.
So that's a big investment for us. That fortunately for us, we could afford, but that many farmers can't. That's another impact that we see today. Farmers, and when I say many, I think it's about 30% this year, even are giving up on this crop. So the sustainability of the Kampot pepper is at stake today.
Do you think maybe in a few years, a lot of farmers will shut down their business?
Many are already doing this. I think we have more to come, and we might end up with just a few farmers like me with those
basically really are convinced that things need to change and have the ability to invest. Right?
The ability to invest.
Which seems to be the highest challenge. If you don't have cash, if you don't get any good yield, and you can't invest, and basically everything shut down.
No cash, no understanding of the technology, bad agricultural practices.
So talking about technology, and it's good. I think it's a good transition. I could see here the people who came to set up the irrigation system seems to be very tech-oriented. I could see how much they were building something very future-oriented. Yeah. How advanced could be the system today, and what do you see as the future of irrigation? Especially in a place where we can't even collect any data. So you can't know basically how much water you will feed into these fields versus the other one, right? So what is feasible today? What's this coming for the next 10 years?
That's a good thing that those people are based in Cambodia and they come here. So because they know the climate here, and they know that it's off grid, they know that it's off network. I'm saying that because a couple of years ago we did with a Palo IT company, based in Singapore, right? With Palo IT, we did some a program here to try and adapt. We have a vanilla plantation as well, and on the vanilla we try to put some sensors and stuff to control the humidity and everything. They did their pilot in Singapore, okay? The grid is working perfectly well. There is no spikes in the energy usage. The network is amazing. And they arrived to deploy the technology at the farm.
And nothing was...
And it failed.
Why? Because of no network.
Because of no network, because the energy that we were generating with the solar panel was not so good. Then we tried with the generator and we had spikes. So we were kind of killing the hardware. So yeah, many issues.
Which we never realize how complicated it is to get out of the lab, come in the fields, in the rural area, and really try and pilot something which seems to be easy, but at the moment you don't have basic access to network, electricity, or sustainable electricity, just as basic as that, it can't work.
It can't work. So I think we need to have a good understanding of the local situation before we can do something. That's why a model that it's fit for all from the beginning is hard to get. Maybe a system that can adapt. And maybe when you go through AI, you can work with those things because you know the type of soil is like this, is there, and because you have the humidity because you know that the sun is going to set there, because it's all the data that you get. Okay, maybe then you can find solutions. But then we need to keep in mind that place like mine, absolutely no network, as you can see.
This is why I have always been a strong believer that we need to emphasize a bit more on AI at the edge, because an AI that basically is able to work at the device level without having to connect to the cloud, so that the engine or machine learning could basically take a certain decision at the edge. Exactly. Without having to consistently connect to the cloud. And I think this is something we need to, for those kind of challenges, that needs to be more considered.
Exactly. It has to be working here locally with the machine learning. That's fine. Then we need to remember who we are working with. We are working most of the time with smallholder farmers.
You don't get a sense of all of that.
So exactly, and you have 700 million smallholder farmers that are basically producing 80% of the food today. Okay. And this is where the big challenges of our generation is, about malnutrition, low access or no access to education, health, living income, all those issues are happening there, right? And this is what we would like to change. Will it go through the technology to help the farmer change? I don't know. I do believe that the change will go through good agricultural practices, a change of mindset, putting food sovereignty in front of food security. So food sovereignty is letting people grow what they believe should grow because they know their land and everything, rather than having those huge 1,000 hectare farm growing corn to feed beef. Okay, that is not sustainable. But I'm going off-road now.
Let's go off-road. Let's learn more. This is, the best to get learnings.
A couple of years ago, that I think it's the United Nations that defined the food security as a right for everyone, everywhere, to have access to food, which is something that I believe is great. Everyone should have food. But because of this, we started to have those agricultural models where we are growing huge spaces to have one type of food, right? And through this came Monsanto and their friends, with GMO products. So it killed the biodiversity. It killed the diversity of the seeds. We don't have 20 type of rice anymore. We have two.
Yeah, I recently heard that we only are consuming 80% of the veggies consumption is just made of about 12 or 15 veggies in the whole world, which is mad.
It's mad. We used to have such a huge diversity and we killed it. Okay. And now you have the sovereignty concept where we are saying that we should use what grows best locally. Okay. We should let the farmers choose what they grow, how they grow it. If they want to intercrop, they should do it. Okay, so give the right to the people to use their own seeds. For example, plant the seeds, let it grow, collect some of the seeds, plant it again, so the seeds get used to the local ground, and this is how then they achieve a good yield. Okay, and we've been preventing that. In France, for example, it was forbidden until recently, but recently is 2 years.
Really?
Okay, to use your own seeds. Les semences paysannes, as we call it in France. It was forbidden. It was forbidden because the idea was to grow only those seeds that are most of the time provided by Monsanto, Bayer, big companies that have those GMO seeds that are grown in symbiosis with the pesticides and chemical fertilizers that are adapted to those specific seeds. That's why now we have corn that is being spread with pesticides and herbicides to kill everything but this type of corn, because they are being developed in conjunction. The pesticide and everything, all the chemicals are developed in conjunction with this GMO seed that is adapted to this crop.
It's interesting. We the initiative I'm running is called Borderless Impact. And one of the reasons I led this initiative and decided to do it during my 12 months sabbatical is because I strongly believe that, unfortunately, we are living in a world where borders are higher than ever. Recently, the new election in the US just showed us again how much, we were shutting down the borders. You and I, but amongst the same age, or a bit younger than me, we grew up in a world where opening itself to the... And now I think that the second part of our life, unfortunately, we're going to live in a world shut it down itself. But in the meantime, technology basically allows to cross border in a much faster way. But while technology allows this openness, people are talking a bit much more than ever about sovereignty. Whether it is about, your ingredients, your seeds, or your own data. So there is a huge paradigm for me, which is what I'm trying to analyze between, terrestrial borders getting higher, technological borders basically removed every single day. But while these tech layers are removed, these tech borders are removed, also people are thinking more about their own sovereignty and what is sovereignty in the future. Data sovereignty again, agriculture sovereignty, and technology sovereignty.
That's a big paradigm indeed.
It's a big paradigm, right? Yeah. So I think you really come up here with a great concept of agriculture or food sovereignty, which I do like a lot. I know you've been working for 3 years as well at Farm Force. I think it's really interesting that someone like you, with a strong fintech tech background, went into farming, and then basically decided to build his own business here, his own farm, but also realized that working for one of the AgriTech leader could help a lot and could be like a complement a lot what you do here with your farm. So can you explain me a bit more what your role at Farm Force? So what are you doing? What are you in charge of?
So I am the sales director at Farm Force.
Globally,
which is an AgTech company based in Oslo, in Norway. That is a spin-off of the Syngenta Foundation. So not everything coming out of Bayer, Syngenta, Monsanto is bad.
I've been working for Syngenta, one of my customers in the back. So that's by the way, how I discovered the business.
So back, I think, like 13 years ago, pardon me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 13 years ago, they started this company in Farm Force in Kenya to kind of help farmers with traceability. And eventually this program became a bit bigger, and then there was a spin-off. And so the Farm Force get out of the Syngenta Foundation and become a privately owned company based in Oslo.
So what do you mean by farm or agricultural product traceability?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so most of the time we put way too many things under traceability. So maybe I can help you understand what my clients are doing. So we are working with corporates that are sourcing commodities from farmers. So if you are Nestlé and you are selling chocolate yogurt to consumers like you, your consumers want to make sure that, for example, there are no kids working on the ground, those kind of things, okay? You want kind of traceability to understand where it's coming from. You want to make sure that the farmers are being paid at a fair value for their work. There are many aspects of things that you as a consumer will want to make sure of. When Nestlé is buying cocoa or chocolate, they would be buying chocolate from a chocolate manufacturer like Barry Callebaut, Cargill, Olam, those big corporates. Those ones are the traders and also the processor. They buy cocoa from cooperatives in Ghana, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and they work with hundreds of thousands of farmers. And they need to make sure that their value chain is respecting the kind of code of conduct that are expected by Nestlé and Mars and Ferrero. They want to make sure that there are no kids working on the ground. They want to help the farmers increase their productivity. They want to understand what's happening on the ground. But we are talking about hundreds and thousands of farmers. And so the solution that we provide to those traders is being deployed at a cooperative level on the ground. So let's imagine in Ivory Coast, we work with cooperatives where we bring our solution to the cooperative and we train the agent of the cooperative. An agent could be someone that is buying from the farmers. That could be what we call a magasinier, someone that is sitting at the cooperative collecting the bags, someone that is an agronomist, teaching farmers good agricultural practices.
People.
So we teach those people on how to use an app
On the ground.
An app that is working offline, because obviously there is no network. So they go on the ground, and when they meet with the farmers, they collect data, many type of data, depending on what you want to do. One thing can be called traceability for the transactions. How much did I buy from which farmer, what quantity, what price, when did I pay a premium because he's fair trade certified, okay? So all of that would be more on the transaction. That is used to manage fraud as well. If you have a farmer that has 5 hectares or 2 hectares of cocoa, you do not expect the guy to sell you 10 tons when the yield for 1 hectare of cocoa is 500 kilos. Okay, so you have all this fraud management.
Manage the fraud detection.
And the fraud detection is being used to fight against deforestation, for example. Because if a farmer has 2 hectares of land that you have been mapping, we create polygons so that's the GPS shape of the farm. You know he has 2 hectares, you know he can sell you 1 ton, right? If he starts selling you more, maybe because he's been buying from someone else, or maybe because he has a farm that is hidden somewhere in the forest there, okay? So you do not want to allow that, to protect the environment as well, okay? That is needful for those corporates because now we have new regulations in EU to fight deforestation.
So you mentioned something very insightful again, which we learn as well along the journey, is the power, how important are the communities in this process, right? We are in countries where a lot of the things needs to happen through communities, through people who lead their own communities, their communities of farmers, the magasiniers you just said. And you also mentioned that, again, this app could work offline because there is not any network everywhere where those farmers are operating. In the meantime, we've heard a lot in all the news and good magazine and, talking about the future of tech and AgriTech, the role of blockchain in this traceability system. And we've learned a lot about, the traceability of cocoa, for instance, giving an example, from Nestle and how Nestle could basically track from, Guatemala or Mexico from exactly this farm where the cocoa will come from and basically encrypt in the chain any step of the cocoa process. Is that something that Farm Force is doing already? Is that something that you feel is a bit an utopia because of the lack of access to data? How do you see blockchain entering into this business, knowing that obviously when for people who understand Web3, you can realize how every single aspect of the value chain of the process could be encrypted in a secured way and obviously be tracked properly. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you are applying or not at all, and why?
So Farm Force per se do not do blockchain, but we have a discussion with a potential partner called Open Food Chain that created this open ledger to apply their own technology layer, leveraging the blockchain to collect data that could be generated by a system like Farm Force or
so you
others.
Will become like the data,
and we could push
feeder.
the data exactly into this blockchain to then have a third party validating the data, validating the claim of Nestle. Okay. So
Nestle could track exactly all the steps or all of these.
It would, but it would be more for the consumer to be able to identify that the claim done by Nestle have been validated by the blockchain as a whole, okay, secured, and then secured so they cannot change it.
The proof that it's true, it's real, it's not something that has been hacked on the ground.
The systems are as good as the data they contain is. And so if you want to fake the data, then you can.
And data will always come from eventually an offline app like yours because...
It's coming from us. We are a technology provider, okay? The data is not my concern. You collect the data that you want and you do whatever you like with the data because we are a GDPR compliant company and we do not own the data. So you buy my system, you collect the data through your agents, the data is yours. And then if you want to modify the data and fake it,
that's not your...
That's not my problem, right?
But if you could add these kind of data verification layer, that would even reinforce the good perception that your customers may have about your product and how verified all this data.
Exactly. So we want to have that. There is a very good company called Meridia, who is Meridia. They have a product that is called Meridia Verify. that we integrate with. So the data that we collect through an API. So we collect the data and then send it to Meridia so they can validate the quality of the data.
You have this kind of verification.
Yes, but it's not linked to the blockchain yet.
But it may come soon.
It may come soon because we are exploring this integration with open food chain. So then we feed them with the data that has before been validated by Meridia.
So this is very insightful.
We collect, they verify, and then we kind of lock it into the blockchain.
The collection, the verification, and then the process of this data to get a certain output, a qualitative output that basically big companies will buy. Wow. Certified. Now, in this process, which I think is at very nascent, very early stage, but we see more and more of this application of Web3 and using blockchain, especially in the traceability space. We also realize that it may eventually help SMEs or potentially even the farmers at their own level to own the data themselves and be re-empowered. And it's, we discussed before this kind of interview, and I remember that I was able to do an analogy with the healthcare system, where we all would love to also get re-empowered with our own management of our health data. Now, do you think that we could get to that stage where every single farmer may eventually manage his own data, be able to be in control of his data that he has, like a farmer like you here with your pepper farm, and basically eventually sell in a certain way those data to the distributors and to the big companies that are basically aggregating all of the seeds or crops or product and selling back to the food giant? What's your thoughts? How much could it go to the individual level in terms of data management?
My personal point of view, and it's in conflict actually with what I do now, is that the farmers do not own the data. So the data is basically, unfortunately, it's being owned by the big corporates. And data, as we know, is key, is money. It's why a WhatsApp is valued at $19 billion when it has no product to sell. But people, but data. So to me, the data should be owned by the farmer. It is very complicated because we are talking smallholder farmers. A smallholder farmer has less than 4 hectares, right? Small farm, low level of education most of the time, maybe sometime an access to a smartphone. To find a way for them to monetize the data, we are still between the small farm and...
And how about I believe in different layers. I think it will be definitely maybe an utopia to think that every individual could manage his own data. It's really like a lack of education. But at the SME level, like a magasinier, for instance, at the moment, who is like managing a community, collecting so many information from different farmers, would you see any opportunity for someone like him to eventually own the data and reverse the system and the relationship he has with a Cargill or someone else?
I think there is there is a way now for those people, the magasinier, the dealers, it depends on the value chains, but to find a way to get them an incentive so they collect the data, right? And then, but to me, it's not good because if it's the dealer or the magasinier, it's not going upstream enough. Upstream at the top, you have the farmers, right? So to me, the data and the money that could be generated from the data should go to the farmer. Is it money in cash? Not necessarily, okay? And you could get incentives for the farmer to share their own data.
Could be like part of a loyalty program.
It could be a loyalty program. It could be, I am a farmer and I am telling you through my smartphone today that I have been planting tomatoes. Okay? And I share this information. When you think about this, it's like, okay, who cares about this information? It is very important because you know that the farmer has been, or your community of farmers have been growing tomatoes, they planted at that time. And then with your program as a tomato Heinz, you are making a ketchup. You want to know that tomatoes will be growing and when, and you want to help the farmers grow it as much as you can, right? Knowing when they've been planting it, maybe you can have your agro team with then sending a message to the farmer telling them it's good time to do this fertilizer, NPK, that level, okay? So you have a two-way exchange. When you do that, you help the farmers to better grow through good agricultural practices with guys who have been studying for 10 years agro for tomatoes, right? And you help them to grow more, to sell more, to generate more revenues. That's one way where the data being pushed from the farm to Heinz help them grow more
in the context of a loyalty program,
and
for
you
instance,
can have a
getting access
loyalty
to courses
program,
or, yeah.
also telling them, if you share your data with us, then we are going to give you fertilizers to grow your tomatoes.
But in what you describe, which I like, it's again, of course, as a farmer, you get like more tips, more courses, more like tutorial, whatever it is, like. But you're not reversing the system in putting really the farmer in control of his pricing, in control of what he does. You know, it's still like the big giant who basically is offering something good, you know, on behalf, because, you know, of the data that, of course, will feed more and more the system and giving more, you know, insights about, you know, how this farmer is doing well or not. And is it finally worth continuing partnering with this farmer or not because he's not doing as well? How can we reverse the system? Do you feel is that we can re-empower people? You know, I'm a very humanist person. When I was working on my foundation, Live with AI, it was all about building human-centric AI and human-centric innovation, putting human at the center and really re-empowering people so that all of us, any farmer, can eventually reverse the system and be a bit in control. What's your thoughts? Or this is just an utopia?
I think for now it's still early stage for those things because we need to empower the farmers with tech first. Okay, the situation is that we are working with people that have, again, no network, no phones, so you know it's still quite far, right? I am sure that there are people that are scratching their heads trying to find ways to empower them. I know that Tony's Chocolonely, for example, is one of those companies doing chocolate that is putting farmer at the center of their program, okay, to make sure they have a better living income and help them thrive and have a better life. But putting the farmer in control of the price of the cocoa and tomatoes,
not yet.
It's tough because it's those markets are controlled by and if I go a bit further, we need to change the mindset of the whole population. Because anyone going to go shopping tomorrow buying chocolate for Easter don't want to pay a fair price for chocolate. And until people change their mindset and understand that it's not easy to grow peppercorn and cocoa and don't want to pay for that and try to drive the price down, we will never be helping.
So I think it's a good transition because we started with this fair trade business explanation. Then we went into technology. And then we discuss about traceability. Is this technology, and especially is Web3, or could Web3 help even more fair trade business encrypt, verify that the entire process that they are leading is fair, is equitable? Because if we look at all those good Web3 agriculture, POC and innovation concept existing, it's most of the time these are companies which are fair trade, right? They want to track that everything they do is really fair.
I believe that the technology can help the process of being certified fair trade and organic easier. And that's faster and easier, because today it's super complicated. You are a smallholder farmers, you want to become organic and fair trade certified, you can't. Okay. You need to use Excel. You need to fill so many forms. Everything is done through computers. It's impossible unless you are being sponsored by a cooperative.
And is there any company, any startup already trying to basically put a system in place where, as a farmer, you only have to connect to the system and it can help you to get through this fair trade label?
So a company like mine is onboarding farmers through the program under the Fair Farms umbrella. So they keep doing their job, which is being a farmer, and we do the certification on their behalf, right?
Yeah, but still very manually.
But very manually, and for me, I am bearing all the costs and the issues. One of the bad things that we have today is, if you want to sell an organic product, you have to be organic certified, blah, blah. It costs a bomb and it's super complicated. Okay? So doing good is hard. Doing bad is super easy. You want conventional and you want to spray pesticide and fuck up the entire planet. Easy. Okay? Maybe, I don't know, maybe an utopia would be to say, through technology and AI, I don't know what, we change this, and it will be for the guys that are not organic certified that will need to go through the process.
So you reverse the process and make the process complicated for people doing bad.
Exactly, and they are the one paying.
Insane. Interesting.
That would be a good application of technology. So you do good, you kind of paid for that and less trouble for you.
Well, I also think that, and I think you mentioned it at the very start of our conversation, I think the people who are buying fair trade products are willing to pay for a higher price, a $1, $2. Yeah. You told me all the day how much you are fighting to get good quality product at a good price, because that helps to protect jobs, that helps to protect human, that helps to protect quality of the product, and we should not basically bring down the price. Yeah. Now, for people who are willing to pay a premium, I think those people looking for a bio, equitable or fair trade kind of label, they are looking for the right story.
Yes.
And I think this is what we discussed this morning, is like, how can we use blockchain or, again, this technology to basically track every single aspect of your agriculture process and turn it into a story and turn it into something that people will buy. I'm buying a product, I'm buying your pepper because I can connect to any app or platform and I can see where is the farm, how is that grown, how many of those people finally I'm helping by buying these products as a end consumers. So turning like the data generating from your farm business into a marketing story and into something like, turning your business of paper into a paper experience. Yeah. Is that correct? Is that something that we should see more?
I think we should see this more. We need to get, in that case, the blockchain involved and multiple parties to verify the claim that I'm seeing, because I can tell you, like I'm doing now, I'm super good guy, I give good salaries to my team, they have a health insurance, but you are not verifying anything, right?
Yeah, but encrypting those data in a certified way, secured way.
Exactly, and validating
through a validation
the data.
process. And turning this into a marketing story, kind of
then to me it makes sense, yes.
And a verified storytelling that people could buy.
That would make sense. And what would be nice, and you were talking about giving back some of the value to the farmer, maybe would be to have those web wallets or wallet on their phones where when there is any transaction being done on this blockchain with an utility token or whatever, okay, part of the tokens are being generated and given back to the farmer immediately. It's not going through a cooperative or someone, because then you don't know.
And does that exist today or not? What you describe, what we all would like to see.
I think there are some kind of tiny programs working on that, but it's mostly at the POC level. I know India is quite advanced in AgTech, in fact, so maybe they already have such a program, but it's definitely not mainstream and not something that we are seeing. And I'm involved with quite a lot of cooperatives, but I've never seen that from my own eyes.
Well, at least I think
it would be something good. And if this token is either has an utility or a value.
Yeah.
And with this, you can buy, your part.
Use it in a loyalty program, buy something, redeem the points you got from the program. Yeah. Yeah. And also I see this as a very good way of changing your business, which is at the moment a business of selling products, in shifting to selling a story and selling an experience. And we could see here by coming here to the farm how much it is an experience. And for the end consumers, how can we make food process an experience rather than just buying a product?
Right. 100% with you. To me, and I already mentioned that to Farm Force, I would break our entire business model and I would give away Farm Force to the farmer community so they start collecting data. And then
you could leverage the data, use the data, monetize the data.
And so your name is Mars and you want to buy from those farmers that have been collecting the data, then you pay for it.
You pay for which at the moment they pay for their software, and we are in a SaaS model, exactly. And we are not in a collaborating agent model.
So you give an incentive to the farmers to push the data, and then if they want to have it and get their claim for certified product, this and that, we open the pipe. Okay, we can connect you, Mars, to 20 cooperatives in Uganda if you want. But when we open the pipe, you pay for it and you send money to the cooperatives.
Yeah, but I think the
farmers, and then you put your Web3 wallet.
I think this is the kind of a reverse model that we all are envisioning, but it's very complicated to implement for many reasons that we discussed.
One of the reasons, if I go to tell one of my existing clients that he's paying $1 million a year for 10 years, that from now on is going to be free, but he has to buy, he's like, dude, for 10 years.
You've been charging me for 1 million.
Charging this. And now you want to change and give access to everyone, in fact, to the data. So they do not own the data anymore. It's owned by the farmers and the cooperatives.
Yeah, but I think, having advised a lot of big companies in their own digital transformation, the transformation of their model, like shifting from a selling product model to, service model or experience model, shifting from selling product to selling monthly fees, for instance. I think a very good example is what Philips did, where Philips was, selling products and MRI scan and stuff to a hospital.
Okay.
And over a few years, Philips basically has just realized that what their highest value was the data they could collect through all the MRI and all of that. So they are now basically offering and equipping hospital and public hospital in Burma with the MRI without any upfront cost.
Okay.
But they are charging fees for basically using their access to the data and their services. They entirely shifted their revenue model.
Okay.
But it has taken some years, obviously, because you can't overnight kill the cash cow of your business. See, and also the biggest challenge with this is anyone who starts to collect data but has always sold something is really struggling, I see, in selling more than a product, but selling the product now and the data, because most of the customers will tell you, great, I've been buying this product from you for years, but now you tell me you have data, so that should be part of the deal. And the procurement will say, great, I'm going to basically not negotiate the price this year, or maybe only 5%. But on top of that, I heard you have great data, so put this in the deal. And it's very complicated for those companies to start monetize and value the data that they've collected, because their customers don't want to pay for this incremental service that they feel and assume should be free, right? Very, very insightful to get like this, all of that kind of your vision about the future of agriculture. Getting to the end of this interview, I'd love to, if you would have like 3 things to tell us about what you think how the future of agriculture look like and will look like. What are the things that you are the most exciting about, and what are the things that are certainly scaring you the most?
So I'm very scared about the climate change that has a huge impact on agriculture. Exciting thing about that is that we have a lot of people thinking about it and working on precision agriculture to use less water, to kind of adapt to the heat waves that we are facing. So I think those 2 things are very important. I think there is this mentality to work more with the farmers now and to share good agricultural practices to improve the way they are growing their products. I think there is kind of a sensibility that is nascent, and we are working on a new way of doing farming, or very old ways of doing farming where we do intercropping and work with multiple crops. We see this more and more. Being helped as well by agronomists who are working hard on this, sharing their studies. And for that, the access to Facebook in Asia or those kind of media to learn a lot of new techniques, I think is very helpful for the farmer. I think we are glad that we have people like you who are thinking about how do we put the farmers at the center. And I think this is really where we should go. So the farmers are proud again of being farmers, right?
Well, I'm really glad you like the concept and about, putting people at the center, farmers at the center. I think this is something that I've always thought is the right way to build new things. We should all, I think, design new model where people and human are at the very center of everything, which unfortunately is not enough the case. And I'm so glad that we've been able to discuss today how this could happen in a very rural area. At the farmer level, far away from the real innovation world, or from what people know about the world. So I think we both met when we were at Singapore discussing, about the future of technology in many different spaces. But when you come here on the ground, when you see how things are going on the ground, you realize a lot of things that can only stay on PowerPoint and would never be applicable in such a place. And I think that this is why I'm doing this trip, right? To understand the challenges we are facing, to really think about what's realistic in building a right future for all children. So thank you again. As you could see, I repeat, we are in the middle of a pepper farm in Cambodia, in Kampot Jewels, from Fair Farms, which has been set up, built by Norbert. I'm so pleased he welcomed us for a 1 day here with him, with his team, discovering the process, discovering how he's building, how he's growing pepper, and how he's doing it in a very fair and equitable way. So thank you for your time. Thanks for everything you've said, and because it has been very insightful and very good learnings.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening.